Hi class. I expect we'll soon be seeing a lot of PDO exceptions happening in your projects, and I'd like to share an approach for debugging such errors. When you come across them, it'll look kind of like this. There's a lot to read, in fact so much that it may be a bit hard to read, but begin by reading it slowly, easily. We've got an uncaught PDO exception saying column not found. So it's something to do with SQL state and something with an unknown column there. So it's an SQL error. If there's a problem with SQL state, it's an SQL error, I guess. To be absolutely sure, I'd like to take PHP out of the equation and check if it really is an SQL error. And to do that, I need to see the SQL that was executed. So I look in the error message here and I can read that there was something in my post table in the method getPost for user. So post table class, the getPosts for user. Apparently this is where the problem comes from. So it should be this SQL statement that's off. So take a look at it. I can simply echo out the SQL. And I might put that in a paragraph just to give myself a bit of space around it to make it easier to read. So echo out a paragraph with the SQL. And I get the SQL, except there is a question mark. That's only to be expected because there is a question mark in my prepared statement here. I'm using a prepared statement where values will be bound to unnamed placeholders as the statement, the PDO statement, is executed. So when I see that, it always leaves me wondering, what value is PHP trying to run by MySQL instead of a question mark? What I like to do is to after I've passed the SQL to the prepare method and made a PDO statement, I'd like to see what is the SQL really like. So I can do that by replacing the question mark here. I believe that should be escaped. So replace the question mark in the SQL with that value received up here, and search in the $SQL string, and let's see what happens. Save, refresh. And now I get to see exactly what PHP runs by MySQL. So I'm really replacing the question mark with the received ID there in the SQL string. And that's the SQL PHP will run by MySQL. So that is the SQL statement that will be executed. Now that I see the SQL statement that might be causing the problem, I can select and copy it and paste it directly into phpMyAdmin. And there we are. Here's my error. So this operation here confirms that it is in fact an SQL error. There's not necessarily any PHP errors involved here, it's an SQL error. And the problem is that the order ID is an unknown column. I guess when you see it like this, it should be pretty obvious that it should be user ID, not order ID. me just check that. So there we are. User ID seems to work. I can return to my code and update the SQL statement, and I can simply comment out these 2 lines of code that are used exclusively for debugging the SQL, really to see the SQL statement that PHP runs. So save and refresh, and there we are. I've got a few of the same posts here, but at least my code is now error-free. So the approach I'd like you to take when you come across SQL errors. Let me just put it back in, user ID. When you come across these PDO exceptions, I propose that you use my code here and replace all the question marks in the string with the values used, and then echo out the SQL that PHP really tries to run. And once you've got hold of the SQL, you copy it and you go over to your PHP myadmin, paste it in, and you run it there. So you're really trying to make sure that you are in fact dealing with an SQL error, and if that's what you're doing, well, fix the SQL error and go back to your PHP to update your code. That's it. Give it a go.